To actually be here making decisions for the city and for the community and for the future, it's a heavy responsibility. It weighs heavily on me, but it's an exciting time because I have a voice to impact change. This is the best job I've had ever in my life thus far.
Councilmember Jamal Fox, thank you so much for joining us today. We are excited about getting a chance to sit down with you. It's tough to grab you with all the running around that you do, but thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
We are sitting in here in the council chamber on the second floor of the Melville Municipal Office Building right downtown in Greensboro, and this is a significant place because this is where a lot of the action happens every other Tuesday night when City Council gathers and goes through the business of the city. Did you ever envision a day, and maybe you did, that your name would be on the dais right here behind where we sit?
No, not really.
Never in a million. This was not on the bucket list. And I have to tell you, your bucket is much smaller than a lot of folks because you're still a young guy. But.
Yeah. It was never something that I thought would happen as quickly as it did. I thought it would be years, and I didn't think it would be at the local level. But hey, I'm happy. You know, we made history.
You made history. You're the youngest Greensboro City Council member. Talk about I guess your path in life and what got you to this point. A lot of folks inside this building know you and recognize you because we've worked alongside of you once upon a time. But talk about how you got to this place where you are today.
Well, I'll say that the biggest thing is I spent the majority of my life in the private sector, working in different corporations and things like that. And it took one day where I had an opportunity that was provided to me by the former city manager 2 ago, Rashad Young, and he offered me an internship and brought me on as a contract employee as a roster. And that propelled me and gave me experience that I really didn't have at the government level, but I was able to use some of my skill sets that I obtained in the private sector. And I actually worked in his office as a management analyst, doing a lot of research, talking to the community, going to meetings, sitting in meetings with former councils, listening to the deliberations, and really gaining a first-hand experience, practical experience about how government works. And from there, I moved up and I worked with other departments, worked with HR on the appraisals with Teresa Lockamy when she was a city employee. And from there, I went up to planning, and I spent planning the last year and a half of my 3 years here in the city, upstairs working on grants, working on the Better Buildings grant for folks to make their housing more energy efficient, and I also did some other things. So that kind of where I cut my teeth.
Even during that period of time that you were working for the city, were you keeping an eye on what was happening here in council chamber, or were you still just sort of laser focused on continuing your career path as a government employee? What was sort of the mindset?
Well, believe it or not, I did something that most people would probably frown upon. I went to every meeting when I worked in the city manager's office, when I was in planning. It took about a year or so of going to every meeting for me to really understand and connect the dots and say, oh, okay, I remember hearing that back in the back, or I remember hearing that in discussions in the community, and it really helped me understand how things are supposed to flow in the city. And it also helped me because a lot of members I serve with now were council members when I came to the city 4 years ago. So.
And then you left the city for a little while, and you went to your alma mater, to North Carolina A&T State University, and became a professor. That had to have been a gratifying experience.
Oh man, I tell you, that was the most awesome experience to go back to your alma mater to teach in the department that you graduated out of. That was just by far the greatest experience of my life. And I was able to really give the students practical experience and firsthand knowledge of government, political science, politics, and how things are supposed to be ran, and then work with the students to expose them to being active in the community. What does that truly mean? And I'm telling you, that was probably the best highlight of my life thus far.
Yeah. So now we're up to somewhere around 2012, early 2013, and then when do you make the decision to run for council in 2013? And what was the turning point, and what was the tipping point, the thing that made you decide, you know what, I'm going to put my name on the ballot?
Well, I was actually looking at it at 2012. I was already very active in my party, and I was a party official at the state level and at the county level. But I said, you know, I really need to help bring a young voice, a youthful, energized voice, a thoughtful voice into politics. I didn't think it was going to be at the local level. I thought I was going to do some at the state level, probably work on getting on somebody's campaign or being appointed to something. But what really turned for me is the decisions made here in Greensboro impact us so much that I said, we have to have a young person at the table. And I said, if not me, then who? And if not now, then when? And I said, the time is right for young people to have a voice and have a seat at the table to impact change.
Were you, you had a pretty tight a race with former council member Jim Key, and there were lots of things that happened during your campaign. We won't necessarily get into it now, but there was just a lot of sort of outside pressures on both candidates. There was a lot of information that was, you know, in the news on a regular basis. When did reality sink in when you saw your name on top of the charts in terms of you know, the votes in District 2? When did it finally hit you that, man, this is a real deal, this is something important?
I would say when I got to the courthouse, I didn't even know I won, because at the time when I was at home at our campaign site, I was down by 10%. And me and my team and people in the community, we came together and we just prayed. And we prayed, we said, okay, well, let's just go down there. And I was saying, well, I don't know if I want to go down there. I said, you know, I think I'm going to lose bad. And they said, no, keep your spirits up, and we're going. And so we hopped in the van and we drove downtown. And as I was coming up the staircase, people running down said, great job, you did it. And I was like, what, did I win? And I didn't know I actually won. Wow. Until I had 10 cameras in front of my face saying, you know, how does it feel being an elected official? And I was just like, oh, wow.
Do you remember what you said that night?
No, other than, you know, I believe I said, you know, I thank the community, because honestly, to tell you the truth, I couldn't elect myself. It was the community being behind me and really latching on to the vision. And also, you know, I was talking to my mother because, you know, she couldn't be there. She had to work that night, and her birthday was literally the day before, so it was a great birthday present for her.
Yeah, no kidding. What a great surprise. Well, okay, so you get elected, and you become the youngest person to hold one of these seats here on the dais. When did your vision, when did your focus for what you wanted to accomplish come into play? And I'm asking you that as a precursor because I don't think many folks would argue with the statement that you've been one of the busiest council members. This has been a very busy council to begin with. All 9 council members have been uniquely involved in lots of different projects, but I think that the activity level in District 2, there's been a flurry of activity, it's safe to say. So when did that vision start to come into your mind of, here's the different things we need to accomplish and get done?
Yeah, well, the biggest thing for me is 2012. I kind of pulled things together and I said, okay, if I'm gonna run, what's gonna be the 3 topics that is gonna be, you know, in my heart? And I said, you know, community, I gotta get people involved. And I said, economic development, we have to get people jobs, we have to connect people to jobs, so transportation is going to be big for me. And then public safety, how do we keep our folks safe? And so that was kind of the premise for me is, okay, I have my issues, well, how I'm going to, you know, get deeper into it. And so what I did in 2013, I just did a tour and I went to churches, I went to functions, and I just listened to the community and really tried to understand what is it in the community that they want to see. And so I used really the vision from the community to draft what the vision was for District 2, and things just really start coming into play. And one of the biggest things I said is when I get in office, what I want to do is take some stuff that's been on the shelf that people have been working on for 20 years and bring it to fruition. And hence, that's why we see the Renaissance shops on Phillips Avenue getting ready to come to fruition and construction start in November.
Well, and that's a great kind of segue into my next questions for you of what you feel like you have been your biggest accomplishment so far. And Renaissance has got to be top of the list.
Well, you know, the Renaissance shops, the entire project, working with the community came together and said, look, we don't have a grocery store, so they put together an initiative for the Renaissance Community Co-op. And so you have the Renaissance shops, the shopping center, then you also had the Renaissance Co-op where they said, the community said, we're going to come together and we're in a food desert, we're going to supply food to our community, not just in our district, but the entire city and this region. And that came to fruition. People are excited about it. I'm jacked up about it just because what it means to our community as a whole.
Do you have that experience now in the community where residents are coming up to you and kind of saying, hey, thank you, we've needed this for a long time, thanks for finally getting that football over the goal line? I mean, is that sort of the experience, or do you feel like now the approach is more of, well, Mr. Fox can get some things done, so let's go talk to him about the next step that we have? You know, I guess it's a double-edged sword.
It is. You know, I have a lot of people that approach me, call me, email me, and they say, you know, great job, you know, getting over the hump. But we still have a little bit more things to do, or what's next? Okay, we've accomplished that, then what's next we're going to do? And, you know, people call me all the time, and sometimes both phones, and so my voicemails are full every day.
I have experienced that myself. I know that you and I have had conversations about the amount of activity that just comes in your direction. So what else has been keeping you busy beyond Renaissance? And I don't want to minimize Renaissance. Renaissance is a major thing for East Greensboro and for that part of the community. What else have you worked on?
Well, I've been working with infrastructure, transportation. I've been really pushing and working with GDOT and saying, hey, sidewalks. Community's been asking for it for years, you know, when we gonna get online. And so working with Adam and the folks in his shop to get a timeline. Adam Fisher, which is our transportation director, of bringing things online to say, hey, Phillips Avenue, whether it's Summit Avenue, whether it's Reedy Fork, when we're going to get things online. And so that's been taking a lot of my time. And also recruiting. I've been on the phone calling different corporations around the United States and other cities, asking them, trying to learn from them, hey, you guys are doing good with recruiting or retention or economic development. What things can you share with me? Or when I'm talking to other CEOs and COOs, trying to tell them, hey, Greensboro is the place for you to be. And really talk about Greensboro as a city of opportunity, and it's a place that you can grow, you can develop, and you can invest in. So that's been taking a lot of time, as well as working with our public safety officials and making sure that not only our college students, but the entire city is safe. And so working with a lot of initiatives there, and also working with our immigrant and refugee community, making sure that they can access transportation, they can access other resources that they need in the community as well.
You talked about young people and being a young person yourself, still relatively young and not that far removed from college days, at least not as far as some of us are. Talk about that role that you play, being the young council member. You're connected with some of the young professional groups like Synergy. You're also going to be the lead from City Council's standpoint on a college commission that's getting cranked up. Where do you see your role in terms of helping the city engage with young people?
I'm a liaison. I'm the conductor and kind of the connector, if you will, to not only the young people in council or the young people in the greater community. I see my role as really trying to help move conversation, talk about, okay, as folks in our 20s, 30s, what is it that we want to see in 10 years or 15 years, and trying to work with other policymakers to make sure that when we make decisions that we're thinking about the folks that are coming behind them. And so that's been great. And so with the College Commission, that's really going to help, because you have the Greensboro Youth Commission, GYC, you have the Synergy professional for folks that are young, that's already out there working or in a college, or that's well connected throughout the community. but you really don't have a connector for if I am a sophomore or a senior or a freshman or a junior in college, where do I go? Where's my outlet? And so the College Commission is really going to be the conduit for college people to really talk about, what do you want to see your community? What do you want to see your city? And how can you advise the elected officials of what that looks like? And that's what's so awesome, and that's why it's so much bug going around the community. Man, I have a voice. I have a seat at the table. And I think that is awesome, because that's not something that has always happened in Greensboro.
Is that also a strategy in your mind for ways that we kind of retain some of these 50,000 college students that come through our city every year?
Most definitely. I believe when we bring them, we hear from them. And we kind of give them something, whether if it's public safety, economic development, let them put together a strategy and then come back to us and say, hey, this is what we see, we deem is great for our community, and be able to work in conjunction with our young people. That's how we can retain folks. That's how, when you're giving them exposure to something, that's how you keep people. That's how you retain them. And I think it's going to go a long way.
You've also talked about economic development, and I know that you've talked about getting on the phone and just calling businesses all over the country and all over the world and kind of pitching Greensboro's story. First and foremost, my question to you is, you talk about the great opportunities that Greensboro presents, but what's your version of our story? What do you tell these folks when you call them? And what are you pitching them about the city of Greensboro?
Well, I'm pitching them Greensboro. It's the place to be. It's the city of opportunity, the gate city, the place that you can raise your kids, you can live, you can invest in the community, a place you can grow, a place of quality life, a place of recreation. Think about where you have a place that's safe, that's within a mile or two from schools, that you be able to work, that you be able to go out. There's nightlife. There's so much going on. And hey, this is a city that's active. But the only thing that we're missing is you.
And what's their response? Is that something that is piquing their interest?
It is. And what's piquing their interest even more is when I start talking about, man, look at what's getting ready to come. We have a lot of developments downtown, over $300 million invested, but also start talking about in the outlying areas within the community. We just had Sheets open up in 29 North. We just had Reedy Fort Fire Station today. We just opened up, grand opening. We're starting to have areas of development open up, partly because we look at transportation again and the urban loop, and $1 billion we got from the state. That is so awesome. Well, guess what? Folks are willing to come and say, you know what? I want to be there. When you have a greenway that's connecting neighborhoods around, that's 4 miles within your downtown locations, connected neighborhoods, that's awesome. People want to be there. They want to see something happening. And companies love hearing that. They love hearing your story. What is your story?
I know that as one of our council members who represents East Greensboro has long felt like, in some respects, that they have not been the benefit of some of the economic development efforts of the city. Talk about that and sort of what your role is and the feeling, because I'm starting to feel like the tide is turning there and everybody is starting to see the glass half full instead of half empty.
Yeah, for many years, our community has been deemed or felt like, well, we don't have development coming out here, or why can't we get development out here, whether it's Randman Road, or whether it's Cone Boulevard, whether it's East Market Street, whether it's Summit Avenue. What's holding us back from getting that big box, or what's holding us back from getting that great restaurant? And so now we're starting to see developments coming because we have the infrastructure that's being put in. We have transportation that's connecting folks where they need to go. So now people start saying, man, something's actually happening. And that's the big thing, because a lot of folks kind of felt like, well, we're not hopeful of Greensboro because we don't see anything happening. What's really happening? Well, we have to be able to communicate to East Greensboro and our community, this is what's happening, this is what's going on, and I believe that they're starting to see that now.
One of the other pieces that is very much connected together with that sense of building a stronger community, and you talked about it already, is public safety. I know that you are a strong supporter of the police department and the fire department and EMS and Metro 911 folks and all the folks that just work every day to keep our community safe. But you've really been especially involved in the community itself, in whether it's with the young people on the college campuses or supporting some anti-violence types of programs. So talk a little bit about that and kind of what your focus has been there.
Well, with public safety, my biggest focus is making sure that we don't have any more, losing any more young people, any more deaths. I've been wanting to continuously make sure our crime is going down, and it has significantly in the district and in East Greensboro, but we still have occasions out there, intake and gangs or other issues. But I've been truly working with the community. What is it going to take for us to really become crime-free in our district? What's it going to take? What is our role as a community to work with and partner with fire, police, GM 911 to really say, hey, we're coming together and unifying as a community. And I'm starting to see that around the northern part, the eastern part, the southern part of District 2 and Northeast. Folks are truly starting to come together. And the biggest thing what I've been trying to do is communicate. So every time we have something, a grand opening, a ribbon cutting, I'm sending an email out to the presidents of all these neighborhoods saying, hey, we want you there, please be there. And several meetings that been in the community, I was happy to see several neighborhoods represented there. And so now I'm kind of unifying. We're coming together as a community, and it's just awesome, because that was one of my things running on the campaign is I want to unify District 2. I want to unify the community. But I don't necessarily want to be the front man. I want the community to come and let's say this is a community aspect. This is a community issue that we see that means so much. Because I'm going to continue to fight and speak out there for them, but I want them also to take a role in this and to be uplifting, not really a handout as most people see.
So I guess my next question to you is, what is next? As residents and folks will be watching this on Greensboro Television Network, in late 2014, early 2015, I guess really the question to ask is, as we get ready to turn the calendar to 2015, what's on your agenda?
Well, what's on my agenda is continuously to communicate with the community, to make sure that they're abreast on the issues, to continue to motivate and ask them to get involved, whether it's joining boards and commission, whether it's calling down, coming to city council meetings, just being more involved, knowing what's going on. But I'm going to continue to make sure that transportation, infrastructure, and public safety are at the forefront. And I'm going to continue to make sure that economic development, calling folks, trying to make sure that we have folks that's relocating, expanding throughout our district, because that's really going to continuously to help us move on. But I'm also going to roll out the College Commission in January. We're going to have several workshops, working with people, ex-offenders, to see how we can engage them into our economy and help them be producing citizens. We're going to talk about how to help people manage their budgets. And so talking about that, continue to work with the food desert issue, and I'm going to continue to champion that until I can't champion it anymore. Continue to work with people as it relates to homelessness, whether it's poverty, working with our veterans. Those are all the type of things that folks are going to start seeing in 2015 that we're going to continue to push out there. But I'm going to continue to ask the community, I need your voice. I need your help to communicate and reach people that we're not reaching now. And I need to hear from the community, because I want to make sure that we're doing everything possible that they see or deem as important to our community and our city as a whole.
Where's the spare time in there? That's my question. I'm not sure I'm hearing you say anything about it. I think I'm going to take a vacation here or there. So. Well,
the vacations will come later on. My biggest thing is just making sure that I get my district in line and I get the community together. I do take time. Every other week I get away. I go have fun with friends. I do in my spare time pick up and try to read, or I sit there and try to watch some TV in my downtime. So that there's some time in between, but I do spend a lot of time making sure right now that things are coming together, that is the vision that I have meets the vision with the community and the vision with my other 8 elected body members up here, that we're all speaking one vision, one city, one district. And the hashtag that I keep telling people is I'm working hard for better District 2 for a better Greensboro, stronger Greensboro. And that is going to be the tagline that we're going to keep running on through next year. Make sure that this is a new path, this is a new opportunity, and we need everybody to be involved with it.
Well, you sort of already kind of told us, I think, a lot about what being a council member is all about for you. But my last question for you is, what is it, what does it mean for you to be a representative of District 2 and to be a member of this Greensboro City Council?
It means a lot. You know, for many years growing up, I always watched politicians, I've always watched elected body members, and I always said I wanted to be there one day. Everything that I've preached about to college students or to members in the community, I get to live out on a daily basis. And I have years of living to go, but it's the best job because I'm able to connect communities. I'm able to reach out and talk to people at different walks of life, to hear their story, to be impacted by the story, and really to kind of be a problem solver, to understand where they came from and how I can help them, and to be able to get phone calls or emails of folks saying, Councilman Fox, thank you. That means a lot because our job, we don't get a lot of thank yous. We get a lot of people that's very mad at the city or very mad at a particular issue, but when I get a thank you, that really helps along the way. It tells me, you know what, I got to keep going. I got to work harder because guess what? Somebody on the other side has an issue and that needs to be solved.
Well said. Thank you so much for your time. I've really enjoyed the conversation, Jamal. We appreciate you being with us on Greensboro Television Network.
Thank you for having me.